or talk, and we never really get a sense of it. So, how do I know you? Where do I know you from?
I got from another age.
Karen and I were roommates. Well, actually, I had dropped out of college, and we got our first apartment together. She was still going to school at UConn in art school.
Well, actually, it goes back further because we instituted a vegetarian meal plan at UConn.
We did, right.
And it was such disgusting food that we decided, the heck with dorm life, we're going to get our own place and cook actual food.
Yeah.
Their idea of vegetarian food was canned spinach and white rice.
It was horrible.
That didn't go very far.
So that's how we met, and we were roommates for a while, and then we both went our separate ways. I had gone to school for liberal arts, and then I had dropped out because I didn't really like it, and then I went back for horticulture, and you didn't even know that, I think. You had gone on for, you finished art school and left.
My painting major. There I was at an agricultural college for 5 years, and somehow the fact escaped me that horticulture was actually a profession, or landscape design. I don't know. I guess I was going to be an artist, and I didn't know, but I always gardened. And that apartment, I remember between the foundation shrubs, I was planting beets, and I found a notebook recently with my recipes and a record that, I made 2 quarts of pickled beets from the beets between the foundation plants.
Well, there's something that you probably don't know, which is that you gave me my first house plant. It was either a cutting of a coleus or a spider plant, but I had never had a house plant in my life till I lived with you at Maplewood Apartments. Right. It's because of you that we're here today.
I remember building shelves and having plants across all the windows.
And I thought, this is so cool. You put it in water, it gets roots, you put it in the pot, you make it. And now I did a division workshop today. Multiplication by division, how far we've come.
My guess is that it might have been coleus because I did frequent the biology greenhouses, and I learned from my mother how to back up to a plant and take a look.
Well, so then we both went our separate ways. I went to Radcliffe Hicks. I graduated. I started working at Glen Terrace in Hamden. You ended up in Stony Creek as a professional garden photographer, and we ran into each other in a drugstore one day in Brantford. I'm like, Karen. She's like, Nancy, what are you doing? I'm like, you'll never believe it. I'm a gardener. She's like, you're a gardener. And she said, I'm a professional photographer, and I had just quit my job and started my own business, and I didn't have any credentials at all. This was in 1983. So Karen said, I'll make a portfolio for you. What have you done? I'm like, oh my God. So the
little circle garden with the bird bath with the iris around
it, right? So yeah,
it was really
pretty. Went from one little job to another, including indoor landscaping, and she took these professional grade photography photos.
And I got it published.
And we got it published. And then I got a leather bound, probably fake leather bound at that point. I didn't have any money. And I put it all together, and then when I go to get a job, I present my portfolio. And that's how I started. It was amazing. That was 29 years ago. So yeah, now we're both in the business, but in a different way, because you do photography, but you also have had to transition, right?
Well,
you want to talk about what that felt like?
Mine has really grown and gone in a new direction. So I went from someone who felt like slave labor as a kid. We grew all our own food, and my father was the son of Italian immigrants. And we used to race when Organic Gardening magazine came in the mail. We would race each other, who could nab it first. And he was kind of amused. I always remember this. It made such an impression that there was this word organic. That there's a name for it, because to him it was just gardening. Is this how you're supposed to garden? And so, that's something I grew up with, or being trained to be a good depression housewife. But,
or depressed housewife.
Well, no, I was never a depressed housewife. Not me. So, I had that gardening background. It's just, some of us are born gardeners. We can't help it.
And then some of us start when they're 20.
Yeah, but maybe you were born a gardener, you just didn't know it. Just
right.
I think I was born a singer, but I didn't know it.
Right.
Like there was a singer trying to come out, and now I'm a singer and a speaker. Right. And that was all buried somewhere and not cultivated.
Well, where did you grow up?
In Canton Center, Connecticut.
Well, did you have a lot of land around you?
Well, we had, I think 3.5 acres, and about an acre of which was vegetable garden and trees.
I grew up in the north end of Hartford. in the city with a postage stamp.
So
no gardens.
That may explain why
Or we
we
didn't
came to it later.
Right. Well, we went to parks. We went to Elizabeth Park and all the other parks and stuff.
Oh, see, that was a big deal for
But
us.
we didn't
to go
actually
there.
plant anything. But if you look at pictures of me as a kid, I'm always in a garden because my grandparents took.
See, I
took
thought
us
I was
around.
going to escape all that. You know, child labor. There were no child labor laws then. But it was much ingrained. But you know, having started out with that whole organic gardening, like it's the way you do it. What other way could be possible? It doesn't make any sense. You know, just as I started my career actually as an architectural photographer, and I got really, talk about depressed housewives. You know, the level of acquisitiveness and material possessions in some of the homes that felt like they had absolutely no life in, I really just got tired of that. And what really did me in was, I was in one house photographing for, I had a wonderful architect, wonderful designer, but the people had 5 houses, and they had his and hers dressing rooms, each of which was larger than the cabin I was living in, and the man had, I counted them, 56 pairs of very expensive brown lace-up shoes.
Wow.
And I thought, how many shoes does somebody need? And that was the end of my architectural career. I just thought, I never want to go inside again as long as I live. And so I transitioned. I had been doing gardens all along and bringing stories to magazines. And I said, yeah, this architecture business, I want to go outside. I don't want to be inside anymore. And so I would be contributing photographs to articles that other people wrote, or I would bring a really juicy story to a magazine, and then they would assign someone to write it, and it would be, you know, just fluff. And I just thought, darn it, I'm sick of giving my ideas away. So I started writing. And then I was awfully shy, but I started going, you know, I went to a lot of garden talks, and I would sit there grumbling, thinking, you know, if they're apologizing for their slides, why are they showing them? Or they're disorganized, or they don't know what they're talking about, or they're just, you know, a celebrity showing stuff that isn't relating to anything anybody needs to know. So I became gradually speaker, and I have evolved yet again to do eco-friendly garden coaching. And
what does that mean?
I feel like it's all
That's a beautiful name, but what does it actually mean?
Well, I'm teaching homeowners how to garden more sustainably. So these are people who are doing it themselves. They're not going out and hiring a designer or a landscape architect. They want to know how to garden more sustainably at home. So I help them reduce maintenance, choose deer-resistant plants,
get rid of invasives.
like that, get rid of invasives. A lot of things. I live up in Connecticut in the northwest corner, and it's a lot of New Yorkers who have weekend homes, and they don't want to blow it. They love the country. They don't know anything about gardening. It's their first home, and they don't know what to do. So I walk around and I show them what they have. I show them what they need to get rid of. I show them the plants that are going to be really good for them, or maybe something that's languishing in shade that really wants to be in the sun. Sometimes it's just talking about the flow, which is an easeful way of designing. You know, how do you walk through a property? But also, if it's lawn and you're mowing around, you know, 20 different shrubs, mowing circles around it, maybe you want to join them together, and the whole property would flow more, and it would be a lot easier to maintain. Or in a possibly steep bank, maybe you should have your head examined if you're mowing that. Maybe you should plant suckering shrubs here, and here's something that will work. You know, I can take them shopping. I can show them how to prune, teach them what to dead end. It's really fun. It's so creative and fun, and it's great working with people.
And you've also written books.
I wrote,
and we worked together on a book.
I co-authored that. That was really ancient history. Nancy and I did a book together with Marty Smith for Rodale many years ago.
1995?
Could be.
Yeah,
That's a long time
1995.
ago.
That's a long time ago. It
The
seems
first
like
book,
not
let's see,
so
I always remember backyard design, photographing that, because I wondered why I was so exhausted when I came home at night. It turned out because I was 3 months pregnant. Didn't know it.
Backyard design.
So I photographed there, had a baby, and then went back on the road to photograph the rest of it. And then we did a country garden for your backyard the next year.
Which featured 5 or 6 Connecticut gardens.
Yeah, quite a few Connecticut
And I wrote it with Marnie Smith, and Karen took all the pictures.
The photos.
And you can get it on eBay now.
I know. Well, Elegant Silvers is about to be in that status. I co-authored a book called Elegant Silvers about silver plants, and
we have it
there's
here.
Survival mechanisms, a lot of which is what I'm going to talk about today. Why they're silver, what makes them silver, what makes them good survivors. And then Joanne Gardner, my co-author, was the horticultural brains behind it, and I wrote more about the design aspects. But the first thing we did was we put together a list of all the silver plants we had grown and all the silver plants we had killed. And the ones we had killed was a really long list, and figuring out what kind of conditions do these plants want to survive in, and where do they really grow.
And Karen sends me emails. She'll say, "I'm doing a book, and I need pictures of the following 6,000 plants. If you happen to have any, let me know."
Yeah, when I did that.
And let me know when they're in bloom.
Yeah.
So
in your spare time.
In your spare time, right. Right now she's working on edible landscaping, and
yeah, we're doing a talk in New Jersey about the edible ornamental garden. And
so I brought these tulips in because I wanted to remind Karen, because I did a raised bed in my vegetable garden alternating garlic and purple tulips of 10 different varieties, of labeling the garlic and labeling the tulips so I could study the different colors of purple tulips and their bloom period.
I just love all those
and
colors.
Karen's been emailing me and calling me. So when's the asparagus up? And are the forget-me-nots underneath the asparagus? And what have you got going on? So she's gonna, if the sun goes away, she's gonna run over to my house and take some pictures.
We need rain.
We need rain so bad, yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll hold off just for a little while and then rain every night. So.
And then the last book was the Naturescaping Workbook, which was written by Beth O'Donnell Young. It was published by Timber Press in December, and I provided the photos, but more than that, I provided the stories behind the photos. So, she wanted a picture of an organic garden, so you could say anything's an organic garden. How are people supposed to know from the photo? So, I could reliably tell the story behind what was in the pictures.
And that's probably the best-selling book of my winter classes and all the trade shows. Every single time I would bring the Naturescaping Workbook to a sale event, I'd sell them all, and I would put them side by side with Doug Tallamy's book, Bringing Nature Home, which kind of explains the concept behind it. But the Naturescaping Workbook explains how to kind of do it, which is what people really want. They love the idea, but they want to know how to do it. And it's a very popular book. I'll bring your books out while you're giving the talk. If anybody wants Karen to sign books, she can do that.
Well, when Beth called me, she said, "Well, I'm doing this book called Naturescaping, and I want you to be the photographer." She somehow found me, and
she's in California.
She's in Oregon.
Oregon.
And I said, "Well, what do you mean by naturescaping?" When she started talking about it, about organic gardening and rain gardens and using native plants and supporting beneficial insects and pollinators and conserving resources such as both water and time. I thought, oh, well, I'd never heard that term, but it's what I've been doing my whole life. And I love what she says about it. She said, naturescaping, it's how to be cheap and lazy and still have the prettiest garden on the block.
Oh, that's a great way of putting it.
That really sums it up.
That's great. Well, I think that most people, they want low maintenance. Which, they want a complicated garden, but they want low maintenance. But what you're going to talk about today, which is so exciting to me, is how to sort of organize the right plant in the right place and ways to reduce your maintenance by planting the plants that are sort of meant to be in that situation. So I'm going to let you get started. This is really great talking to you. This is really fun. And I'm going to, while you're talking, I'm going to grab some of your books, so we'll have them on the table here. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. And here, I don't think you need this, but if you do, here's your microphone.
Okay.
You do have soil being screamed in the background. It's that lovely grinding noise. That's what they've been doing for a week or two.
So meditative.
Yes, it's meditative. Yes. So I give you Karen Bussolini.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you all came.